వీక్షకులందరికీ శుభాభివందనాలు. ట్యూటర్స్ ప్రైవేట్ సంస్థ నిర్వహిస్తూ ఉన్నటువంటి ఇంటిగ్రేటెడ్ టీచర్ ఎబిలిటీ ప్రోగ్రాంలకు మీ అందరినీ సాదరంగా ఆహ్వానిస్తూ
Hello. Hello. Good morning, everyone. This is Ramesh Manthani. Today, we shall discuss a topic that is speech. There are two types of speeches in English. There are direct speech and indirect speech. Let us see what is speech and the different kinds of the speech. You can express the words of others in two different ways. The words of a speaker can be expressed in two different ways. First one is repeating the words of the speaker without any change. Repeating the words of the speaker without any change. If we repeat the words of the speaker without any change, it is called direct speech. It is called direct speech. For example, Yamini said, I am going to a movie now. Yamini said, I am going to a movie now. I am going to a movie now. These are the words of Miss Yamini. And these were the words of Miss Yamini yesterday. Now, yesterday she was the speaker and I was the listener. But now today, I am the speaker and you are the listeners. I am conveying the message which was by Yamini to you people now. I can express it in two different ways. I can give the message of Yamini to me yesterday in two different ways to you people. First one is copying the words of the speaker, that means copying the words of Miss Yamini without any change. I am going to a movie now, Yamini said. I am going to a movie now, Yamini said. This is called direct speech. I can also express the same by using my own words. I can also say the meaning of those words or the theme of those words by using my own words. Like this. Yamini said that she was going to a movie then. Yamini said that she was going to a movie then. So in the second case, that means in this line, I'm conveying the message of Miss Yamini by using my own words. This is called indirect speech. This is called indirect speech. So there are two types of speeches. First one is direct speech and second one is indirect speech. In direct speech, the words of the speaker are normally placed in between inverted commas. I am going to a movie now. So these are the words of Miss Yamini. So you have to place these words in between inverted commas in that speech. So just by watching them, we can say that it is that speech. So here there are two clauses. In the direct speech sentence, there are two clauses. First one is Yamini said, and second part is I am going to a movie now. The first part is a clause and second part is also a clause. You know what is called a clause. The first part, Yamini said, is called reporting clause. Whereas the second part, I am going to a movie now, is called reported clause. So in that speech, there are two clauses. First one is reporting clause and second one is reported clause. The verb in the reporting clause is called reporting verb. Is called reporting. Here said, Yamini said is reporting verb. You have to observe this verb very keenly while converting the sentence from direct to indirect speech. I have to observe the tense of this reporting verb before going to convert the direct sentence into indirect sentence or indirect speech. Yamini said, I am going to a movie. Now listen to me carefully. Here said is reporting verb. It is in simple past tense. It is in simple past tense. Now let us see the indirect speech. Yamini said that she was going to a movie then. This is indirect speech of the given sentence. Yamini said, I am going to a movie now. Now, let us see the changes that we have made to convert this sentence from direct to indirect. The first and foremost is, in indirect speech, we have to remove the inverted commas. In indirect speech, we have to remove the inverted commas and you have to place a suitable conjunction. You have to place a suitable conjunction to add the two clauses, the reporting and the reported. The reporting and the reported clauses. Here, in assertive statements or in assertive sentences, we use that as a conjunction. We use that. That's why I said, Yamini said that. This is the first change. This is the first change to be made. You have to add a suitable conjunction to add the two clauses. First one. Next change. In that speech, I am going to a movie now. But in that speech, she was going. Here the pronoun is changed. Here the pronoun is changed. I became she. Because these are the words of Miss Yamini. Here in that speech, I means Miss Yamini, which is a feminine gender. Feminine gender. So I have replaced I with she. With she. Next. Am became was. Am became was. That means the present form of the verb am is changed into the past form. It's in respective past form. Am became was. This is the third change. And the last one is the word that is indicating the time of action now. The word that indicates the time of action now has become as then. So when we convert a sentence from direct to indirect, we have to keep all these points in our mind. First one, you have to add a suitable conjunction. Second one, pronouns are to be changed according to the context. Next one, verb form is changed. Verb form is changed. And the last one is the words that denote the time of action or the place. Time or the place. Adverbs especially. They are changed according to the context. So these are the four basic changes to be made while converting a sentence from direct to indirect. Okay. So you know now what is direct and what is indirect. Copying the words of the speaker without any change is called direct speech. And second one is expressing the theme of those words by using our own words is called indirect speech. Now let us see how to convert a sentence from direct to indirect now. I told you already that you have to observe the reporting verb, the tense of the reporting verb very, very keenly before going to convert the sentence from one to other, from first to the next. If the reporting verb is in present tense or in future tense, it is not necessary to change the form of the verb in reported clause. Once again, I repeat, if the reporting verb is in present tense or in future tense, it is not necessary to convert the form of the verb from present to past in reported clause. Let me give an example. She says, life is dull. She says, life is dull. Here the reporting verb is says. That means simple present tense, V1 plus S. It is in simple present tense. It may be either V1 or V1 plus S. So it is in simple present tense. So in such a case, it is not necessary to convert the form of the verb from present to past in reported clause. So the reporting form of this sentence is she says that. She says that life is dull. That's it. She says life is dull. This is direct. She says that life is dull. Life is dull. That's it. So here I didn't change the form of the verb. It is as it is. In the first case, life is dull, whereas in the second case, life is dull. There is no change. There is no change. Hope you understood. Now, when the reporting verb is in future tense, that means either will or shall plus V1. That means when the verb form is either will or shall plus V1, in such a case also, it is not necessary to convert the sentence, to convert the form of the verb in reported clause. For example, she will say, I am weak today. She will say, I am weak. She will say, I am weak. The reported clause or the indirect speech of this sentence is she will say that. She will say that she is weak. She is weak. That's it. Here, I am weak has become she is weak. In that speech, because the subject is I, there is am before after it. Whereas in the indirect speech, because the subject is she, the suitable form of the verb in present tense is. She is weak. She will say, I am weak. This is direct. And she will say that she is weak. This is indirect. So, when the reporting verb is in present tense or in future tense, it is not necessary to change the form of the verb in reported clause. Very clear. Now, when the reporting was in past tense, when the reporting verb is in past, that means V2. That means V2. All the present forms of the verb in reported clause are changed into their past forms respectively. Listen to me carefully. When the reporting verb is in past tense, that means V2, all the present forms of the verbs in reported clause are changed into their past forms respectively. For example, he said. Here the verb form is V2. Reporting verb is V2. He said, I am learning English. He said, I am learning English. Here the reporting verb is in past tense. So the verb form in the direct speech, that means in the reported class, I am learning becomes was learning, because past form of am is was. Past form of am is was. So was learning, it becomes am learning becomes was learning. Like this, all the present forms of the verbs in direct speech are changed into their past forms respectively. Now let us see the change of verb forms one by one. When the reporting verb is in past tense, that means V2, the following changes take place. In case of verb forms, am or is becomes was. You know that was is the past form of am or is. Next, are becomes were. Do or does become did. Have or has become had. Have or has, these two are past present forms, and had is the past form of these two, have or has. So have has become had. Next, do or does become did. Will or shall become would or should. Can becomes could. May becomes might. Must becomes had to. Next, V1 or V1 plus S, that means simple present tense, becomes simple past tense, that means V2. Either V1 or V2 becomes V2. Next, present continuous, am, is, or plus V1 plus ing form. This is the form of the verb in present continuous. So it becomes was or were plus V1 plus ing form. That means past continuous. So present continuous becomes past continuous. Next, have or has plus V3. That means present perfect. Present perfect. Have or has plus V3 becomes past perfect. That means had plus V3. Had plus V3. Have or has plus V3 becomes had plus V3. Had plus V3. Next, present, sorry, past continuous. Past continuous. That means was or were plus given plus ing form. It becomes past perfect continuous. That means had been plus ing form. Had been plus V1 plus ing form. Suppose if the verb form is V2 in that speech, it becomes had plus V3, past perfect. Past perfect. In some cases, it may remain same also, V2. But naturally, it becomes had plus V3, that means past perfect. But in some cases, it remains same. Next. So these are the changes in case of verb forms. In case of verb forms. Now, there are some verbs, adverbs, which denote the time or the place of action. There are some words which denote the time or place of the action. These words, which are expressing nearness, are changed into the words expressing distance in indirect speech. Once again, I repeat. The words expressing nearness in time and place are changed into the words expressing distance in indirect speech. For example, now becomes then. Now becomes then. Today becomes that day. Yesterday becomes the previous day or the day before. Tomorrow, the next day or the following day. Tomorrow becomes the next day or the following day. Ago becomes before. This becomes that. These becomes those. Yesterday becomes the day, the previous day or the day before. Tonight becomes that night. Here becomes there. So these are the words expressing the nearness are changed into the words expressing distance in indirect speech. Now let us see some examples. Let us see some examples. Hope you understood now. For example, she said, I am unwell. She said, I am unwell. So before going to convert the sentence in indirect speech, you have to observe. We have to observe the tense of the reporting verb. Tense of the reporting verb very, very keenly. Keen observation is essential. Keen observation is needed here. So here, she said, I am unwell. Here the reporting verb is in past tense. She said. Said is V2. Said is V2. So the verb form in the reported class is naturally changed into the past form. I am unwell. She said, I am unwell. Becomes, she said she was unwell. She said that she was unwell. Next. He said, we are in the playground. He said, we are in the playground. Here, the reporting verb is in past tense, V2. He said, we are in playground. The reporting form of or the reported speech of this sentence is, he said that. We becomes they here. Because it is plural, we is plural, you have to change it to the respective plural form, plural pronoun. So, we becomes they. He said that they were in the playground. Are becomes were. Are becomes were. He said we are in the playground. This is that speech. He said that they were in the playground. This is indirect speech. Next. Vani said, It may rain. It may rain. Vani said that. Vani said that it might rain. Just observe the changes. Vani said it may rain. Vani said that it might rain. This is in that speech. Next. The teacher said. The teacher said. I am teaching English. The teacher said that. The teacher said that he was teaching English. He was teaching English. So, in such a way, you have to convert the sentences in that speech into indirect speech. Now, in assertive sentences, if the reporting verb is says to, it becomes tells. Another point to be kept in our mind. If the reporting verb is says to in that speech, it becomes tells in that speech. Suppose if it say to, it becomes tell. And third one, if the reporting verb is said to, if the reporting verb is said to in that speech, it becomes told. It becomes told. So say to becomes tell, says to becomes tells, and said to becomes told. And the next change is common. That means the conjunction is that is used. Because it is an assertive sentences, we use that as the conjunction to add the two clauses, reporting and reported, in indirect sentences. Now let us see some examples. He said to me, I shall go to Madras. He said to me, I shall go to Madras. This is that speech. Now let us see how to convert this sentence into indirect. Because the reporting verb is said to here, it becomes told. It becomes told in that speech. He told me that. He told me that I shall go to Madras is that speech. He should go to Madras. He said that he should go to Madras. This is in that speech. Next. He told me or he said to me. He said to me, I am writing a poem. He told me that he was writing a poem. He told me. He said to me becomes he told me that he was writing a poem. She says to him. My son is lazy. She tells him. Because says is the verb which is in present tense, so it becomes tells. She tells me that her son is lazy. So in this way, you have to convert a sentence into in that speech. Now let me repeat the major points. While converting a sentence from direct to indirect, you should watch the reporting verb very, very carefully. The tense of the reporting verb plays a vital role to convert the sentence from direct to indirect. If it is in present tense or in future tense, there is no need for changing the form of the verb in the reported clause. It is not necessary to change the form of the verb in reported clause. When the reporting verb is in past tense, all the present forms of the verbs in that speech are changed into the past forms respectively. Next, the pronouns are changed according to the context. According to the context, you should observe the speaker and the listener. By watching them closely, you have to convert the pronouns accordingly. Normally, the pronouns of the first person are changed according to the subject of the reporting verb. Next, the pronoun in the second person, that means either you or your, etc., is changed according to the object of the reporting verb. Object of the reporting verb. So these are the changes in case of pronouns. In this, you have to convert a sentence from direct to indirect. So with this, we shall conclude today, and tomorrow we shall go to the second topic, that is interrogative sentences. How to convert an interrogative sentence into indirect speech. Until now, we have seen only the assertive statements. That means statements, assertive sentences. How to convert them and the changes to be made in case of assertive sentence. Here, the conjunction that is used. In case of questions, let us see the conjunction to be changed, the conjunction which is required, and the changes to be made in our next class positively. Thank you very much.